More than 50 million people are displaced around the world because of conflict, poverty, persecution, and climate change.
Mais c'est parce que ça va pas qu'on sort pour chercher pour la famille.
3 of the biggest gateways for migrants and refugees into Europe are through the Western, Central, and Eastern Mediterranean.
To tackle the unprecedented numbers of people risking their lives to enter its borders, Europe is spending hundreds of millions of euros to fortify its frontiers.
We're afraid of dying in the sea, and no one can know about us.
Most vessels involved in something illegal, they'll react when they say a vessel approaching at high speed. It will deter them.
بعدين أنا مو لحالي يعني 4-5 بنكون مشتركين، كل واحد بياخذ حصته. نحن أهم شيء عندنا هو يعني المصاري، مو ما حدا يفكر برواح الناس.
More than 1 million Syrian refugees have fled across the border to Turkey. And with the advance of the Islamic State, numbers are likely to be much higher. Tens of thousands attempt short but deadly boat journeys from Turkey to Greece, convinced they'd be treated better in Europe.
This is not an option amongst 100 options. This is the only option. And because there are no safe and legal channels that the European Union has offered for these people to come, they need to put themselves into the hands of criminals and smugglers to try to make this journey.
Turkey has become a hub for people trafficking, particularly in Istanbul, in the neighborhood of Aksaray. We visited one of the many Syrian refugee families living there while trying to scrape together enough money to make the trip from Turkey to Europe. Their home was an overpriced damp basement, 3 floors on the ground.
هذا مصبر. هي كل فترة وفترة بتشر علينا مي هون، مي وسخة. هلا بنتي كل ما اجريها عم يقوسوا. مشكلة كبيرة وأنا ما هي عم أعاني منها، ما عم بعرف شو بدي أساوي. يعني لو دولة أوروبية بس ورجيته إياها للدكتور هيك فوراً أخذها وعالجها يعني.
How long have you lived here in this basement?
صار لي 2 ونص تقريباً. اجيت على تركيا أول شيء أنا كنت مطلوب بسوريا، ومؤسسين الطلعات كنا نطالب بالحرية والعدل والمساواة ونطلع مظاهرات ضد النظام.
What is the situation for Syrians here?
فتت على محل هدلاك اليوم عرفوني سوري هجموا علي بده يضربوني. ابني لأنه سوري كل ما بيروح وبيجي بسب السوريين. حكى كلمة قام رشه بالمي السخنة هيك حرق له وشه لابني، فتل وشك. هي أعمال تركيا. يعني بصدق لو يطلع لي بقارب الموت أسافر فيه على أوروبا لما وقفت.
Did you say that the boat was called the death boat?
يعني كثير بصير فيه حوادث وغرق يعني، بس أحسن نعيش من هون لأن هون ميت أنا. لأن أنا موجود هلا فوق راس هون وما عم أقدر أساوي شيء ولا أقدر أقدم شيء.
Those attempting the risky boat journey to Europe depart mainly from Turkey's west coast in the hope of reaching nearby Greek islands. So we traveled to Izmir to meet a young Syrian Kurd whose boat had capsized halfway to Greece, and for all we know, he was the only survivor.
بالي بي حشترو بالضبط على نفس لفين خطيبي هانين فيدا باز ضحب أوبون بوتيدوبون چار حب کرد بون و 11 حب عرب بون جراقي بون جراقي فيرو چوكات كوكت نبي جرد بيجن اي سريع عافيا بتشوك جير ونشتين تنايا توازن سفينه بزور توازن بي يعني عم دو بين شخص ما بزور خد توازن كري حتى ما ديسو دغري كر سفينه سرعت دوي بيشي سفينه روبي واي بوش دوكات وقلبي سفينه لانه لحظه عم كاتن اوفي يعني بون دبين عم مرن هنقدن ودنجك فظيع بيوني الشاطئ ديرو بماس 4 ساعات ماشيين حياجيشتم جي خلكاي يعني جي مول دار هنا بربي حيانها كاس نزاني سر حواله متشبونه يعني كاس نزاني خبر جنات
In Izmir, the people traffickers operate in an area called Basmane.
There are a lot of cheap hotels around here where Syrians stay before they attempt to cross. They meet with the smugglers in the small cafes around here. The guys who just passed me were probably carrying life jackets in these plastic bags.
We wanted to speak to a smuggler, but they wouldn't meet with journalists. Then a Syrian refugee offered to do the interview on our behalf.
بنأجر لهم سيارة فرضا اتصالات بعدين أنا مو لحالي يعني 4-5 بنكون مشتركين كل واحد بياخذ حصته يعني مشان هيك بيكون السعر غالي. سفينة نجيبها السفينة نروح نشتريها بشيء يعني شيء قليل بيكون مهترية يعني رايح نجي بنصلحها هيك يعني شيء انه تمشايد حال بنحط فوق يعني فوق حمولتها فوق طاقتها فرض بنحط 50-60 واحد راكب من هدول يعني واحد من هالاشخاص اللي رايحين بنعلمه يعني قبل بيوم يومين فترة بنعلمه على السواقة. السبب الأساسي للغرق هو الطمع. نحن أهم شيء عندنا هو يعني المصاري مو ما حدا يفكر برواح الناس وبعدين نتركه أمر لله يعني اللي صاير اللي بده يصير الله أعلم.
One of the main destinations for the migrant boats leaving the coast of Turkey around Izmir is the Greek island of Lesbos. The migrants usually depart at night in small, overcrowded boats. I have a much easier journey because I have one of these, a European passport.
Guarding the sea border between Turkey and Greece is the Hellenic Coast Guard.
Ali, please, very important. Don't be afraid.
Yes, I know you are please.
Hey, you! Don't make a move, I kill you! Don't make a move! Hands up! Everybody hands up! Everybody hands up!
Okay.
Alongside the Hellenic Coast Guard, Europe's external border agency Frontex has also been active in Greece for years to assist with the monitoring of so-called irregular entries.
So the role of Frontex is mainly to support the national authorities responsible for protecting the borders when they face big migratory pressures. The increase in irregular border crossings has been multiplied by 5 of last year.
We were invited to join one of Frontex boat patrols off the coast of Lesbos. Frontex organizes joint operations between EU member states to bolster security at Europe's borders. The boat was sent from Malta with the Maltese Special Forces crew.
Is everyone here part of Frontex?
We have our normal jobs with the Armed Forces of Malta, and just for this deployment they nominate us and we do what we're tasked as part of the Frontex task group.
How fast does this boat go?
In excess of 40 knots.
We're in the desired patrol area. We've reduced our speed and we will start monitoring and patrolling the border.
The sea is completely pitch black. How can you see if there's a boat with migrants?
Using our navigation and radars, we will be able to detect vessels and other targets in the water. We have also a night vision and daytime camera.
We had stopped right at the European border between Turkey and Greece. They didn't have the mandate to enter Turkish waters.
So you can actually see here if there's a boat departing from Turkey directly.
Yes, these two boats that are fishermen.
How do you know they're fishermen boats?
You can see from here their direction and their speed.
Lesbos is a massive island. You're surrounded by a big sea. Is it possible to monitor everything that's going on the coast?
I seem to think so, yes.
If you would notice anything, if you would see migrants trying to cross over to Lesbos, what's the procedure?
We'll arrive at a safe distance, speak to the migrants, make sure they have life jackets, and then they will be taken to safety as required. We're here to assist the Hellenic Coast Guard, patrol the borders, inspect any targets.
So right now the guys are monitoring the Turkish coast and the Greek coast, and if there's a boat they can see it. It's like a dot. So something showed up on the radar, a big boat, and now Ben and the guys are checking out what it is.
Most vessels involved in something illegal, they'll react when they say, a vessel approaching at high speed. It will deter them.
It was a false alarm, but the crew still reported it and took photos. Not many migrant boats seemed to be out that night. Sophisticated equipment is used to alert both Greek and Turkish border authorities when a migrant boat is detected departing from Turkey. This collaboration with its neighbours to stop migrants before they reach Europe is one of the EU's routine border practices, because it's illegal to send people back once they cross the European border, what is referred to as pushbacks. Still, many NGOs and migrants have reported systematic illegal pushbacks happening along the Greek-Turkish border, carried out by masked men in unmarked uniforms. Allegations have been made against the Greek border authorities, but as of yet, nobody knows who these men are.
They were tied with a rope and pushed it back to Turkey. It's not only illegal under domestic, international and European Union law, but it's also morally wrong and also inhumane.
To find out more, the next morning we met with a representative of the Hellenic Coast Guard.
Different NGOs interviewed migrants who talk about something called pushbacks happening in these waters. Do you know anything about this?
We don't have this kind of phenomenon. This is an accusation that we hear, but as it is proved from the very, very large number of the people who are apprehended, those phenomena do not exist. Okay.
Why do you think that these stories are being told by many different migrants of different nationalities?
You should ask them. I don't know why those stories are heard.
Are you allowed to tell the boat that actually this is Greek water and you don't have permission to enter?
We call the Turkish authorities to deal with boats who are in Turkish territorial waters.
While we were talking, a Coast Guard boat had disembarked with rescued refugees. They were put into a police van in front of the newly arrived tourists. Because the detention center on the island was overcrowded, the van headed to what used to be a children's holiday camp.
This is a place where migrants and refugees who just arrived to Lesbos by boat can come and rest up before they get processed. It's an open camp and it's run by NGOs and local activists. Apparently the people we saw this morning on the port were 31 Syrians and they've all been taken here. How was the journey from Turkey here?
We were afraid of dying in the sea and no one can know about us. But we have to do this because we want to run away from the war in our country.
Also fleeing war was an Afghan family whose boat had capsized halfway to Greece, and the mother was flung into the rough sea. Many died this way, but by a miracle, 18 hours later, she was washed up alive on the shores of Lesbos.
When you stepped into the boat that night, were you scared?
وقتی که مثلا یک وقتی شد که مثلا پای در روی خود چپری شد ما خب تونستیم فقط یک همین خودترک ایجاد بکنیم. وقتی که خاله ما نتونستیم فقط 2 بار 3 بار صدایش شنیدم که یسنا و خلیل گفت بس تمام. مامان من چه وقت نجات میده؟ من گفتم فردا. باز دست خود پیش میکنه که قول علی خیلی بگو که مامان فردا نجات میدن. من تعجب کردم بر از اینکه حالا من چه رقم قضیه قول بدم که فردا.
فقط یک سر با خودم میگفتم خدایا صبح شه که در تاریکی میترسم. جان دادن در تاریکی واقعا سخته.
زمانی که من در شفاخانه دیدم اصلا تعجب کردم. گفتم زنده است یا روحت زنده است. شفخانه اولین کار کردم رفتم نظم دستش سعی کردم که باش زنده است یا دور جانش کردم چیزی نشده باشه.
The village of Altogether is exceptional because while other Greek camps operate like prisons, here people can come and go as they wish. But that freedom only lasts for a few days. Then the authorities come to pick them up and process them.
Everything has to do with detention, and that's why we stay here and we keep this place open, because we believe that people can stay in a place open, in a place without fences, where they can move and go out, because they are not detainees. They shouldn't be treated as detainees. They are illegal, let's say, as if they could arrive illegally.
Many of the volunteers at the camp were critical of Europe's migration policies and border practices.
I think the best way is to create a European policy of reception of the people and to have some standards everywhere. And the only thing that is happening is to have more deaths and more traumatized people from this. And also to encourage the smuggling money and the smuggling networks, that they profit of the situation. This is the only result of these big operations.
We were introduced to an Afghan boy who had been pushed back by the mysterious masked men during an earlier attempt to reach the island.
اولش که ما رو دیدن چند تا تیرهوایی زدن، بعد بلند داد زدش که ما می‌خوایم به شما کمک کنیم، ولی وقتی ما رو سوار کردن دیدیم این خبر نیست. پولامون و گوشیمون و هر چی قیمتی بود ازمون گرفتن.
Do you know what language they were speaking?
نه، فقط ولی وقتی ما رو از قایقمون که داشتن می‌بردن تو کشتی میگم مال بهمون آب و غذا دادن، بعد از اون عصرانگوش گرفتن، بعد منتقلمون کردن کمپ آیدی ترکیه.
So do you think that they had called the Turkish police to say we're going to drop some people off?
آره 100%.
When you start to see so many disconnected people saying the same thing, you have to start to wonder what's going on. The allegation is given credibility because of the fact that you have so many different and unconnected people who are telling the same story.
Not good here. We have big problems. And the doubles of medicine. We are very sick. We have children who have problem in his heart.
Βρει δηλαδή εγώ πολλούς λαθρομετανάστες πνιγμένους. Μωρά παιδιά, μωρά. 2-3 μηνών γεννημένα. Παγωνιά με -10.
She died from hypothermia. She had personal objects, she had a name, she had documents, she had nothing.